They started the Centennial thing in 1967. So in 1966, I built a big lodge, a new lodge for old Mr. DeCenso, a dead man. And Bill worked for me up there, starting in and bringing the lumber in and stuff. And they started the Centennial thing in '67. So we decided we'd go into it. They had a tryout in Fredericton. So one day I said, let's go over, Bill. There's tryouts there, and they're going to have it at the YMCA. So we went to the YMCA, and Bill and I both had fine shoes on, and dress pants, and white shirt, light shirt. You know, we didn't have any clue what was going on. And all the guys in there, they were all around with sneakers on, shorts on, and they were rigged up for a tryout. We didn't know what tryout was going to be. So anyway, they had this tryout, and one of those tryouts was they had a canoe in the swimming pool, and you get in the canoe, and they had it tied to the diving board, and you get in and you pad 30 seconds on one side, as fast you pull on the paddle, and they had the rope went up over the end of the diving board and a set of scales there, and the rope went across the scale, see how far down you can pull the scale, how much pull you're pulling. So they don't last only about 30 seconds. They did shoot the other little things, didn't mount anything. And they took your name down and address and phone number and all that, and they said, well, we'll get in touch with 100 and something applied, I think. We waited about 2 weeks and nothing happened. No word and nothing. So John Claude Richard from Freddie, he was looking after it, picking up the team, and his father was a minister of labor, I think he was. At the time he was a minister in the government. So I went in to see him, see how we made out. So I said, oh, he said, from the Miramichi, I hope some of you Miramichiers make it. He's supposed to be a good boatman over there. And he had on the table, Bill wouldn't go with me because his wife was pregnant. She was having a little trouble, so he listed the papers on the desk and like that. The first pile, so the smallest pile, he went through them, and my name wasn't in that, Bill and I. Well, he said, you must be in the second pile. So in the second pile, that's ones I picked from, and we wasn't in that. Oh, he said, you didn't make it. The other pile was the ones that threw aside. And he said, well, I'd hoping some of you Miramichiers could make it, he said. And I said, well, I wasn't much of a tryout. I said, we was in there with a pair of fine shoes on, dress pants, and we wasn't really set up for a tryout. He said, well, I'll compare it. He reached in a file and he said, here's the guy that made it from Rowendale. He's a forestry guy. And he said he pulled 65 pounds, down 65 pounds. And here's yours. He said, you only pulled 35. He's with the best man. And I said, before I asked that, I said, how much this guy from Rowendale weigh? He looked at it. Oh, he said he weighed 195 pounds. I was 195, yeah. No, I think maybe a little heavier than that, but up there quite hot. And I said, well, he said, yeah. He said, what's my weight? Well, he said, you're only 175. I said, and how long he pulled that? He said, 30 seconds, half a minute, 30 strokes. And I said, so the race is only going to last about 20 minutes each day, is it? Oh, no, so someday it could go up to 20 hours. I said, what do you sooner have in? Some guy can pull 35 pounds and do it for 20 hours. Some guy do 65 pounds and only do it for 10 or 15 minutes. And he scooped out the rest of the day, all that weight in the canoe. Well, he said, you got a point there. And I said, well, to me, I said, I'll tell you what. We didn't make the trial, fine, good and dandy, but I said, you get a team picked out. You bring them over the Miramichi, or we'll go over in the St. John River, and we'll try, Bill and I will try your top men. And we can't beat them pretty good. I reached in my pocket, and I just happened to have a $100 bill, and I put it on the desk to the secretary. I said, you can give me a receipt for that. There's $100, John. And I said, you can put it in your pocket. I'll bet you $100 I can beat your two top men. Bill and I can beat your two top men. He just looked at me. And he said, no, I wouldn't take your money, but I said, well, this is a long race. It's not only how strong you, how you're going to lift, it's endurance. You haven't got it up there, right? You're not going to go very far in this race, I'll guarantee you that. You get out there in that blistering heat, you get blisters on your hand, and blisters on your feet and everywhere else. It's going to be a different story. Well, Lisa, I'll tell you what, I'll put you and Bill's name in the list. You can go over to the second tryout. We're going to have it in a couple of weeks' time. And if you make the team then he said, you're fine. But it's going to be a long, grueling day. It starts in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, and it don't finish at 5:30 in the afternoon, all day. And you got to be over here the night before and stay at the YMCA and bring a sleeping bag with you. You're sleeping on the gym floor, and he said, you have breakfast here, and then he said, go from there. So I went back, told Bill, and Bill said, no, he said, that's all cut and dry. They got a bunch of students, university guys, and they're going to make the team, and they said, we wouldn't have a look in. And then his wife was having problems, and so Bill wouldn't go. So I had about 2 weeks to train, so I did a lot of running. I didn't know just what to do, but I put a pair of snowshoes, and I used to run with snowshoe back over the hill here for a mile or two and snowshoe in, and I get in pretty good shape. And I'm still working. I was living with them. My uncle and aunt lives across the road and had a farm. I used to do the barn work and stuff. And the day before I had to go over, I cleaned out the horse, and the horse was quite skitty, and the horse stepped sideways and stepped right on my foot.
Oh, gee.
And I'm telling you, it was black and blue. It was the worst looking foot. So I said, oh, it was sore, but I didn't break anything. I didn't think. So I kept a sock on, and went over. So we stayed all night. Nobody knew anything about my foot. It was worse than my ankle, and my foot was just black and blue. So anyway, get over the night before and stayed on. The next morning at about 5 o'clock, you get these. Everybody had to get up, and they went to the bathroom. Then the first thing you did before you had a breakfast or a cup of coffee, anything, you had to go out and run for half an hour on the gym floor. It had so many laps around the gym floor. And at that time, everyone, if you didn't go by name, you went by numbers. And I think there was, 60-something showed up. I'm not really sure of the number that showed up. Quite a few showed up. So we did half an hour run around the floor, then you quit and went and had breakfast. And everybody had the same thing, toast and coffee, you had or tea, milk, or whatever you drank. And then you had egg or something like that, but all had pretty well the same thing. Then you come back in after that, and then you had to do an hour run around the gym floor. And they told us, the instructors told us, is that if you felt a little weak before you had breakfast, sit down, that didn't really hurt you too much. Anyway, it went on, and then they picked your number, they picked out so many, and then they did so many pull-ups and did all this other stuff. And everything was going along fine, and then you had to get in the canoe, and you had to do, not a minute, you had to do half an hour paddling in the canoe. So many strokes, knee side, and shift over back and forth. And by noontime, they kept dropping out, people leaving. And the Wade brothers, I think 10 o'clock, both of them was gone. The two boys, the Wades, they was gone. They let on, they stayed all day, but they didn't. So anyway, long about in the afternoon, he had to go in the swimming pool. Well, I'm not a swimmer. I can swim, but I didn't know one stroke from the other. So then I had to take my socks off, and they could look at, oh, you did all that in that foot. Look at that foot. There's foot all swell and black and blue, and they couldn't believe it. All that running and that foot, they couldn't believe it. Anyway, the only thing I was any good at, I could hold my breath long. I could swim underwater from up end, sit in the pool and back down the other end. I mean, I'll go beat them by a mile, but they couldn't even look at me holding my breath. I could really, didn't smoke or anything like that, had good lungs. So anyway, I don't think I beat them at that. But yeah, and then one other thing that we had to do was, each guy on the team had to wrestle 3 other guys. And this big guy, rolling down, he was in the same thing. He sticking to him by it. So I had to wrestle him, and had a wrestle. The guy, one of the guys made the team, but his last name was Green. He was in the Army. Him and Jerry Dogood, they both Army guys. And this Green was no relation to me. He was from Newfoundland. And I had to wrestle him. Then I had the guy that wrestled this young fellow from the university. I can't recall his name now. He was about 6'2" or 3", real tall guy. The first fellow I had to wrestle was this guy from Rome, this very big. And he had muscle. He looked like that. And he was a big man. He was, you know, around 200 pounds, a little better or whatever. Anyway, and I knew if he got a hold of me, he'd break me in two. So he didn't have gym pants on. He had them khaki pants. The Forsey guy wear the greenish color pants.
Yeah.
Down around his ankle. He has the sneakers on his feet, but he had these pants right down around his ankle. So he almost got me up to his head like that, and I could see the top of my head. He's almost getting me in a hammerlock like that, and I could feel the arm just taking my hair right off. So when I got spurred around, and I said, if I could dodge in quick and get a hold of them pant legs, I got him. So anyway, he's all in, and I just drove into a prison, caught him with a bat and give him a snap up. He didn't hit on the mat at all. He struck off the mat on that hard floor. He bounced about 3 minutes. So anyway, so I did pretty good there. Anyway, I did. You saw I had one fall. That wrestle match was over. So the next one I had to wrestle with was Gordy Green, this Green guy. He was a little taller than me. Was pretty soggy too, but both same height and weight. But anyway, I had no trouble. He didn't last anything. He didn't put up any effort at all. So the tall guy, the university guy, he was in his 20s, and just a young guy. And I said, well, I don't know how I'm going to get that guy. And then I said, I always heard that the tall, lanky guys had a weak back. If I could dodge in real quick, get both arms around above his hips, and bear hug him and stay right by him. So anyway, sure enough, I dodged in quick and got my arms right around like just above his hip and squeezed for all the work. And I had pretty strong hands and arms. And he couldn't break clear, and he tried his best, and he did everything, but last he just got his heel. I got my heel behind his, and down he went. I'm really tall, so I got him through them. The last thing we had to do, we had to run another half hour. And by that time, was down to 27 people. That was all left in the whole group. They all kept dropping off and left 27. So then they set us down at a table and they said, now, give us a sheet of paper, numbers onto it, and put yourself down. Everybody had the same opportunity. Put yourself down as number 1. Then you looked at the group as you paddling, or you raced all day or whatever, putting down who you want to make the team. So you put your name down, number 2, number 3, number 4, right down to number 9. You pick up 9 guys you'd like to make the team, and then you pick C alternates. The guys that somebody had to drop out before the race started, or had to finish, they couldn't finish the race. You put their name down. So get all done, and the instructors come over, and they had a doctor there, and they had about 5 or 6 people looking after everybody. Looked it all over, and lo and behold, on the sheets that turned in, I was on every team. Every other in the room that picked me to be on the. For some reason, they had me on their team. And so to get it all done, they picked out the 9 and the 3 alternates, and then he said you had to pick out the captain. Well, Henry was they had a trial race in 1965, or 66. He was on that. So he made the group too. So anyway, we picked him as the captain of our team, and then the rest of the group picked me to be the assistant captain.
Oh wow!
So I made assistant captain.